New developments in Russia over the past 24 hours. Russia's invasion of Ukraine was thrust into crisis mode as the leader of the key group of mercenary fighters, Yevgeny Prigozhin, declared war on Russia's military leadership. Yesterday, he posted a video saying Ukrainian forces were successfully pushing Russian forces back and claiming that Russian leaders ordered strikes on their own men, killing thousands of them. At the time, he claimed to have control of critical military facilities, including the headquarters of Russia's eastern and southern military district. A frustrated Prigozhin began marching his troops back to Moscow. After a back and forth between himself, his old friend, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and other international leaders, Prigozhin is now being sent to Belarus. The deal was brokered by Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko. According to a Kremlin spokesperson, it's part of a deal to defuse an armed insurrection. CNN says the criminal case against Prigozhin will be closed. The troops who joined him will not face prosecution, and those who didn't join will be offered contracts by the Russian Defense Ministry. After the deal was reached, Prigozhin sent his troops back to Ukraine. Take a look at this map right here. It shows the cities in Russia where the Wagner group claims to have seized control of Russian military forces. Red representing where Russian troops are present, and yellow representing Ukrainian counteroffensive. Michigan Representative Elisa Slaughton had this to say about the recent internal Russian violence.
Yeah, there's a lot of history going on in the last 48 hours. It was stunning to see violence on Russian soil. And then it's stunning to see how they've come to this at least temporary deal. For me, it just reinforces Putin's weakness. This deal it just gives kind of it gives away the farm in a way, and it'll be interesting to see what Putin does in the next couple of weeks.
Some Ukrainian officials are seeing this internal rebellion against Russia as a sign of the collapse of Putin's regime. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky writes in a tweet shortly after the news of the insurrection broke out, saying, quote, "Russia's weakness is obvious, and the country has hid behind its own propaganda." Ukraine, which has been fending off Russia's invasion for 16 months, is now claiming it took back territory in the east that was held by Russia since it annexed Crimea in 2014. This all in the past 24 hours. Ukraine's military says it's already benefiting from the uprising. The Kremlin said today that Turkish President Recep Erdogan has pledged his full support in a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Kremlin says, quote, "At the initiative of the Turkish side, Vladimir Putin held a telephone conversation with the president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan," end quote. The Turkish president has not yet released a readout of the conversation. Now, President Biden is on his way to historic Camp David for a weekend trip, where he's continuing to monitor the latest on the Wagner group. The White House says the president will be routinely updated on Russia throughout the day. He has spoken to some NATO allies, but has not yet released a public statement.